She didn't miss that. She didn't hear that? I won't repeat it. Okay, I won't repeat it. All right. Our subject tonight, Yoram is going to share on. Is called terror. I guess terror and Islam's expansion in the world. Right. That's the title of the message that he's going to be sharing. Which, as all of us know, because we've been talking about it quite a bit, is very relevant for all of us, not only for what the implications are here in Israel and the Middle East, but also in the countries from which we come, Europe and the United States. Because certainly Islam is becoming more and more dominant and more progressive in its propagating what it believes and what it stands for. And it's unfortunate, and I don't want to steal Yoren's thunder, but the West is pretty much asleep to this whole issue, unfortunately. And Yoram, we keep asking ourselves, what can we as Christians do to awaken the churches, let alone our societies in which we live, to this threat that is a very pervasive threat. And I'm sure tonight what you've got to share with us will give us some insights into that whole issue. So please come, and we welcome you. We warmly welcome you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very deeply touched from your mission. Love to hear you, love to be with you. I think it's very important that Christians and Jews will somehow cooperate together, because what I'm going to say in the next hour or so is not so optimistic. I'm optimistic as a very minimize to the situation that we are in, really. I'll say a few words about myself. I'm an Orientalist, learned in a Hebrew university, and an intelligence officer in the Israeli army, now in the reserve army. I used to deal much with the fundamentalist Islamic movement here in the West Bank, mainly, but also on the Palestinian movement. I did a lot of research during my service, and as well I did some humanite intelligence with the Palestinians mainly, and sometimes in Lebanon as well. I'll try to be clear as much as I can, to give some insight information that is not usually being publicly given in the newspaper or television. I guess the reason is because we are dealing with religious motivated people, and some are, it's funny to say, but some are frightened to deal with it. I think even America, because it is not facing these days, even these days, that we are living outside a door of a war. They are not dealing with the true and the most dangerous, as I see it, element in the Muslim world. Well, ever since its establishment, and even before, the State of Israel is facing an overall attack from the Muslim world that refused to accept the return of the Jews to their homeland. From the beginning, the Jewish-Islamic struggle was characterized as a religion, national, and political struggle on territory. This is the important thing, the territory. While Israel always agreed to coexist with the Arab neighbors, they consistently refused to accept any political program that determined the existence of the Jews in the land of Israel. In this lecture, I will try to explain very briefly on Islam, some of the basic elements of Islam, the Islamic point of view on the struggle over the land of Israel, a struggle that is not pointed out only against the Jews, but also against all other religions all over the world. The struggle over the land of Israel is only a microcosmos of the real Islamic struggle, to make Allah the ruler of the world. This is their main goal. In the last recent years, the Islamic struggle developed from a regional to a global one. By using very hard terror and economical measures, such as the explosion of the Pan Am airplane over Lockerbie, throughout the bombing of the American warship near Yemen, the terror 9/11 attack in New York, from one hand, and by establishing a large financial system that supported the Islamic terror, while parallel, from the other hand, the Muslim countries have developed a very complicated and progressive system of emigrating Muslims into non-Muslim countries in order to integrate among them. This organizational system is backed with large economic organizations that finance this strategy. The exclusive motivation to this action is the Muslims' aspiration to apply Islam on the non-Muslim countries. I'll try to answer some questions in this lecture. For instance, what is it that drives the Muslims to expand Islam all over the world? What are the religious bases to do so? And what measures they take? I'll say a few words about Islam. Ever since its foundation, from the period of Prophet Muhammad, the first priority of Islam was to apply itself on the world as the only, last, and true religion that was delivered. On first, Islam preferred its territorial expansion upon recruiting new believers. The step of converting people into Islam was delayed to the period after Islam will base and settled on the territories of the world it will conquer. The tool to achieve this aim is the jihad, the holy war, a war for Allah, to which every Muslim is obliged to as the highest religious duty. In this context, I would like to say a few words about Islam, which is standing on 5 bases. The testimony that every Muslim says at least 5 times a day, that La ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulillah, meaning there is no God except Allah, and Muhammad, his prophet. The prayer, as-salah, every Muslim prays 5 times a day. The fast, one of the most important duties. Every year in Ramadan, every Muslim has to fast during daylight for a month. The charity, every Muslim is obliged to give charity to the poor. And the pilgrimage, once in his life, every Muslim has to take a trip to Mecca. These are the basic aspects of Islam which every Muslim must commit. According to Islam, the 6th base is jihad. It wasn't included in the Quran when the Prophet received it because it wasn't relevant. It became relevant only after the new religion needed a tool with which it could expand itself and apply itself on maximum territories of the world, and afterwards to get new believers. The pronunciation of jihad refers to the Prophet himself. The first testimony appears in the nation contract, Ahd al-Ummah, a contract that was written by the Prophet himself and was a file of the community's regulation that was placed in Al-Madinah. These regulations determine the life condition of the non-Muslim citizens, Jews, Christians, and pagans, who lived in the Muslim territories. It also prepared the Muslims toward war and formed the Muslims' communities' foreign policy, as well the policy of interior affairs, forming the rules of the new community. This document is a very important one. It is the authentic, important, and detailed document that the world has from the Prophet Muhammad, except from the Quran. Three paragraphs in the Quran are the basis for the jihad, because the word itself does not appear in the Quran itself. Muslim scholars use these three paragraphs in order to justify the jihad as a war for Allah. Judaism and Christianity, in the Quran as well, are presented as religions that participate and others to God, and therefore are not a monotheistic religions, as Islam thinks. And because of this, they have no longer the right to exist. Later on, Islam divided the world into two parts. Every part of the world that is out of Dar el-Islam, house of Islam, belongs to Dar el-Harb, house of war, and therefore must be fought until it will be part of the Islamic house. It is important to say that Dar means house, territory, not the people in it. They, the people, will have a unique position in an Islamic state. In other words, the Muslims' aim is to apply Islam on territory, and those who, and this is a quotation, will accept the Muslim with goodwill will have good life. Those with bad will have bad life. The sole way to achieve this goal is by using jihad, the holy war. A war that every Muslim is obliged to, and one that participates in this war, in this kind of war, and get killed, is a shaheed, a martyr. And his privileges in heaven will be guaranteed. Except this violent way of jihad, Islam defined a non-violent jihad. This way asks for the expansion of Islam by converting people to join Islam, and by using economical measures like buying real estate in a non-Muslim countries. This is a quiet and a peaceful jihad the Muslims use. Jihad will take place until Allah will be the ruler of earth, and the non-Muslim world will accept Islam as the true and only religion. There are no questions about it. This is the strategic religion goal of the Muslims, to make Allah the ruler of the world. I will now move on to talk about the Palestinian. As I said before, the Israeli Arab or the Israeli Islamic struggle is only a microcosmos of the global struggle that the Muslim sees it. They see themselves fighting against the unbeliever. We are the unbelievers, the Christians and the Jews, and even the Buddhists, as we see what is going on in India, what happened in Bali lately. We are in a war, the Muslims are in a war with the unbelievers. And as I said before, the Israeli-Palestinian is only a microcosmos of the global struggle, and through understanding the Palestinian point of view over the struggle, I think we can understand the real Islamic struggle against the rest of the world. It's a very big sentence, I think, but it is. In fact, we are living in the middle of some kind of a war. The Muslim world considers Israel as a liquidated target because it is an alien entity in a region they consider as with highest importance religiously and nationally. Israel is considered as a national entity of the Jews, a religion that opposes Islam. It is also considered to represent the Western culture, and this is very important, in a Muslim territory, Dar el-Harb. During the last 100 years, the Palestinians, on their versions of organization, are leading a process of the elimination of the Zionist Jewish entity. At this point, I would like to point out the main Palestinian ideology documents that guide the Palestinians in their fighting against Israel in order to eliminate it. As Yasser Arafat said on February this year to the Indonesian president, after he was asked for the reason not to accept what was offered to him by Barak at Camp David, and I'm quoting, "We, the Muslims, have 150 more years, and at the end, we will throw them to the sea." Now he is looking at the Indonesian president as a partner for this mission, although he's not his partner. He put it on the paper against Arafat. The Palestinian ideology can be presented out of three different documents, two political and one political religious documents: the Palestinian Covenant, the Stages Program, and the Hamas Covenant. I will start with a few words to show you in which world we are living in, and I must say that this is the point of view of the Palestinian toward us, the Israelis. But if we change the names and put it the Islamic point of view on the rest of the world, it will be the same. They will look at the rest of the world the same as the Palestinians are looking at us. The Palestinian Covenant. The Palestinian Covenant is the Palestinian ideological plan. It was announced on the Arab League and reconfirmed on the first convention of the PLO on May 1964, when the organization was established and was headed by Ahmad Shukairi. On 1968, Yasser Arafat, with the help of extreme organizations, dismissed Shukairi and took over the PLO, completed changes in the covenant, and gave it the version that is valid until today. The Oslo Agreement called to cancel the covenant, and after an Israeli-American pressure on 1998, it was canceled by the Palestinian National Committee. But in fact, the Palestinians didn't get rid of its spirit and the ambition to fulfill it. The main paragraph, I took out 7 paragraphs from the covenant to illustrate the Palestinian point. Palestine is the homeland of the Arab Palestinian people and a non-separated part of the big Arab homeland. The Palestinian people are part of the Arab nation. Palestinian citizens are those who lived permanently in Palestine until 1947. One who was born to a Palestinian father after these days, in or out of Palestine, is a Palestinian. Jews that lived permanently in Palestine until the Zionist invasion will be considered Palestinians. There is a religious meaning to this. In Islam, we have Ahl al-Dhimma. Ahl al-Dhimma meaning the people that are living under Islam. They have the protection of Islam, but they will get the protection only after they will surrender and have the Islamic and recognize the Islamic authority. Only after that they will get to be second-degree citizens in the Islamic country. The armed struggle is the only way to liberate Palestine. Therefore, it is a strategic, not a tactic. The partition of Palestine from 1947 and the establishment of Israel are basically cancelled. The Palestinian Arab people reject all the solutions that are substitution to the full liberation of Palestine as whole. The claim on the historic or spiritual linkage between the Jews to Palestine are an historic lie. Well, this covenant is the basic to other ideology document that consolidated the Palestinian stand toward Israel and Judaism. The Palestinian armed struggle with Israel and the Jews today is the extreme application of the spirit of the Palestinian covenant. Several years later, mainly out of international press after the Yom Kippur War, and the need the world saw for getting some sort of peaceful solution to the problem, the Palestinians published a new plan, to be exact, on 1974, the Stages Plan, the Stages Program. It's supposed to bridge between the uncompromised minimalist approach of the Palestinian Covenant and the need, due to international pressure, to make the PLO support a political solution. The main paragraphs I collected are as follows. The PLO will fight with its all power, mainly throughout the armed struggle, to liberate the land of Palestine and to create an independent, popular, fighting Palestinian authority. There's a difference. They are not speaking about a state. A state is some kind of a permanent solution. This is something temporary. That will fight on every part of the Palestinian land. After it will be established, it will fight. Now, if we look at the situation we are living in, we are living with or aside to a Palestinian authority, and they are keep on fighting. This is the exact meaning of this program. The PLO will fight against every political program that its price will be recognition and determination of safe borders with Israel. Concede and denial of our people's right of return, or to return, and self-determination on our homeland. They will fight against everyone who will not give them these conditions. Every part of the land of Palestine will be freed. Every part of the land that will be freed is one step towards fulfilling the PLO strategic to establish a democratic Palestinian state as decided on the previous resolution of the Council. Meaning, we are talking about stages. The strategic goal remain as it is, building a Palestinian state instead of Israel. The stages program is a continuation and development of the Palestinian Covenant. The only difference in this program is tactical, giving stages in order to achieve a strategic goal, creating a Palestinian state instead of Israel. The program was created in order to satisfy the international community that pressed for a political solution. They temporarily accepted conceding the creation of a state on any part of Palestine, or on any part of Israel, and emphasized the temporality and any compromise agreement. Well, we had our fighting throughout the years until the end of the 80s, when the first uprising broke out. This uprising brought to the world a new movement, a very new movement, I should say, Hamas. Something that in Israel, we never had an experience with. Because all over the Arab world, there are the Muslim Brotherhood that exist. Palestine didn't have the Muslim Brotherhood until the first uprising. Hamas is a religious fundamental movement that defines itself as a social religious movement. It is a branch of the world's Muslim Brotherhood in Palestine. The Muslim Brotherhood is a pan-Islamic movement that call for applying Islam law in the Muslim countries. It is an opposition movement within the Muslim countries. Every country has its local Muslim Brotherhood. Applying the Islamic law in the Muslim countries will be the first step before going out trying to apply Islam all over the world. The movement was established in Cairo, Al-Azhar University, which is the most important Islamic university in the Muslim world, in the 20th of the previous century by Hassan al-Banna. He was a great Islamic scholar. He was blind. Most of the scholars, the big scholars, the big Islamic scholars are blind. I don't know why, but it happens. And he said in the 20s, he died at the end of the 20s. he was killed by the Egyptian police. On that day, he said, Israel exists and will continue to exist until Islam will erase it like it erased other foreign countries before it. The Hamas covenant was phrased and published on August 1988 under the slogan, Allah is the movement's foundation, the Prophet is its example, the Quran is its law, the jihad is its way, and death for Allah is its highest grace. Nice. In the beginning of 1989, I will tell a little story that I experienced. I was an officer in the intelligence, and after we got this document, the covenant, the Hamas covenant, we began to investigate, to make researches, to find out who is standing behind the document, how much power do they have. And during my investigation, I found out one of the persons, one of the sheikhs, that was among those who wrote the covenant. I invited him to my office for, how we call it, a political talk. Didn't intend to arrest him. We were on the stage of learning the issue. I met him 3 times, totally about 22 hours. We sat together. At that time, I wore uniform, had a gun, had my degrees. He was sitting in front of me, an Arab sheikh, very handsome person, young, about in his 40s. And we started talking about the covenant, about the main points of the covenant, about their strategic goal, about their expectations, a pure political talk. When I asked him, what is your last target? He looked at me right into the eyes and said, I want you all in the sea. After this, I said, okay, I said his name, you can go, come back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. This was the first meeting we had. This is a symbol of the religious people, the religious Muslims. They are not afraid to say exactly what they think, but exactly what they think. He knew, I think before he told me this phrase, I think he thought that I'm going to arrest him, but I didn't. I had my reasons. I arrested him, I think, a week after our last talk. It's important to say that whenever you are talking to a sheikh or an imam, a preacher, a Muslim preacher, they will say the truth and the exact things that they have in their minds. And this covenant is a very hard paper to read for an Israeli, for a Jew, and I think for every human being. The main paragraphs of the covenant. The Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, is a unique Palestinian movement that its loyalty is to Allah, her way of living is Islam, and it acts for put the flag of Allah on each centimeter of the land of Palestine. Now this is important globally. There is an exact definition of every Muslim Brotherhood group on every country. Each movement is a local movement that deals only with it where she is. The Palestinian in Palestine, the Egyptian in Egypt, and so on. But the tendency of the movement, of the global leadership, is the same. To put the flag of Allah on every centimeter of the world. Hamas believe that the land of Palestine is an Islamic trustee, Waqf, for generation and until the justice day. No one no state, no king, nor president has the authority to give away any part of Palestine. The political initiative, or what is called peaceful solution, are in contradiction to what Hamas believes in. Any concede on parts of the Palestinian land are like conceding parts of Islam. There is no solution to the problem but throughout jihad. The political initiatives and international conferences are screened. We shall not stand still until the Muslims will raise up and kill the Jews. This document is meant to motivate civil and military action of an organization fighting for a position in a society that has traditional, historic, and I'll add secular leadership. The tool they use is a religious one that's supposed to bring success in a national struggle, in a secular struggle. This is not an expansion in Islam due to the fact that there is no separation between state and religion in Islam. They are the same. The movement represents a comprehensive policy. The foreign ruler, the Jews, of Palestine must vanish, same as the former rulers, former foreign rulers that ruled Israel all over history. Hamas believes that the state of Israel will exist for 99 years, the exact time the Crusades ruled here before defeated by the Muslims. Mentioning being part of the global Muslim Brotherhood comes to say that in any place of the world Muslim lives, they must settle down until Islam will rule the world. Even if they are sitting in France, in America, in England, they will have to settle down there, get ready, expand. The day will come. Hamas activity is local, but is also part of Islam's ambition to expand itself all over the world. What measures these fundamental movements, organizations, terror organizations are taking? One of the famous, and that we are all familiar, unfortunately, globally now, after the 9/11 attack, is the suicide bomber phenomenon. I would like to say a few words about this because I think, sadly, I think that we are going to experience it much more, and not only in Israel. 3 paragraphs in the Quran are the basis of all the fatwat. Fatwa is a religious command that is published by highest Muslim scholars. These paragraphs or these fatwas are justifying the fighting and getting killed for Allah, being suicide bombers and his messengers. Well, the first time the world experienced this phenomenon of suicide bombers was in the 70s, but it was. I think it's a very sarcastic to describe it, but it happened the first time. Even though we have evidence that on the 8th century the Muslims used to use it as well. Well, the first time was in the 70s, where during the Iran-Iraq war, 2 different Islamic countries fighting against each other. Iranian children of age between 8 to 12 were sent into minefields in order to explode the mine with their bodies, an action that helped the Iranian forces to advance. These children were given by Muslim scholars Quran books, small Quran, green books, and letter of recommendation to enter heaven. Children of 8 to 12 years old killed themselves during a war. In the 80s, Shiite Muslims, bombers, explode themselves in the American Marines base in Beirut and in the French base in Beirut as well, causing hundreds of deaths. In the 90s, well, it came to Israel. Israel became the main target of the Muslim suiciders, causing hundreds of deaths in Israel and large economical damage. Later on, we had, unfortunately, the 9/11 attacks. The Muslim establishment with this attack, placed the Jews and Christians as the terror target in order to attack the unbelievers. I think the 9/11, even though I believe that the Muslim mission began a long time ago, long before the 9/11 attack, but this was the symbol. Now the Jews and the Christians are together, the enemy, now the Buddhists as well after Bali, Islam against the rest of the world. Ever since the phenomenon is expanding due to the success of the harmful operation that the Muslims consider as a true way to fulfill the Islamic goals. Pure religious motivation, 100%. Beyond giving the religious confirmation to suicide operation, the Muslim scholar mentioned the spiritual reward of the suiciders. All of them will enter heaven without waiting to Judgment Day. Each and every one of them, now in the paper, they are talking about 72 virgins, that each and every one of them, this is a false, it's not true. It's not true. They are not going to get 72 virgins. I'll tell you why. Out of a religion, no, it's the word. There is a hadith. A hadith is a religion, words that refer to Prophet Muhammad. You missed the word an hour ago. Now I missed one. Yeah, but it will come back to me. Each and every Muslim that is declared shaheed, a martyr, will get as followed, according to this calculation. He will get the number of days that he fasts during Ramadan. On every day he will get a woman when he becomes a martyr. Meaning, usually boys are beginning to fast between 8 to 10 years of age. If he died 20, we're talking about 10 years on 30 women. On 30 women, we are talking about 300 women. I think this shows the woman status on the Islamic society as well. I will tell a sarcastic joke later on when I'll talk about suicide women. It's a new phenomena that we experience. Tradition was the word. Tradition is hadith. Hadith is a saying that refers to the Prophet, and people have to deal with it as it is a duty. So he will not get 72, he will get much more. Except this, of course, the families were promised as well heaven in due time, as well as large amount of money in lifetime. All of the suiciders from the religious organization, and this is hard to say, are well educated. Most of them with academic degrees, mainly in religious studies from very good universities in the Arab world, here on the West Bank and in the Arab world. They are well motivated with deep religious beliefs and very much influenced by the fatwas, the religious commands published by Muslim scholars who are sometimes their military commands. As I said before, I think 2 times, there is no separation between politics and religion. It's all the same. The suicide attacks succession and expansion made the secular Palestinian terror organization entering this field of operation as well. Their motivation was mainly ideology, but also had a religious umbrella provided by Muslim scholars. Not like the religious, some of the suiciders from the secular organization are simple people, not educated. Some of them are criminals. Some of them are those who have problems at home. Others are those who are motivated with deep ideological beliefs, but they are the minority. Recently, a new component was added, suicide women. This is an irregular step considering the woman's status in the Muslim society. All her life, the Muslim woman is under some kind of protection. While she is a bachelor, she is under her father's, when she is married, under her husband. Well, the Muslim scholars, although they are against using women, Muslim scholars, all of them are against using women as suicide bombers, even though they found a tradition referred to the Prophet, and I will read it to you because it's very interesting. If an enemy invaded to a country, all its citizens must participate in the war. Women will go without her husband's permission. The son without his father's. The slaves without their masters. And the citizens without their ruler. Because one shouldn't obey a person and reveal Allah, and because the general interest comes before the private one. Or those who lost their virginity before marriage. Or those who have criminal records. I think we had 2 that had criminal records. Most of the other were divorced. One was a girl of, I think, the girl from Dahisha. She was 17 years old and she lost her virginity. Watching suicidal video whales before going to mission shows the difference between the religious and the secular and the seculars. The religious speak under religious motivation and the secular under ideology in one. Both are given the moral support of the Palestinian leadership and the religious support from Islamic scholars. Well, I will end this chapter with another tradition from the Prophet. No person that dies and gets from Allah the pleasure of the next world would like to come back to this world, not even if he will be promised the best of this world. All except the martyr that sees the nobility of a person. He would like to come back in order to get killed once again for Allah. I came to one chapter before the conclusion, and I would like to close the circle and to talk about the expansion of Islam in the world. And I forgot. I said I have a sarcastic joke about the women. Well, we used to say that because of the calculation of how many women every suicide bomber will get when he gets to heaven, because we had so many, there is lake with women in heaven, so they became sending women to get killed. But we have to... the Islamic expansion in the world. Well, 2 Islamic schools, the Sunni, represented by Saudi Arabia, and the Shia, represented by Iran, present the 2 main powers in expanding Islam in the world. They do so by encouraging Muslim immigration into non-Muslim countries, establishing economic organization, investing large capital, mainly in real estate, and supporting Islamic terror within those previous elements. It is all mixed out. Both countries invest billions of dollars annually in this project, considered to be one of the most important projects of their policy. Iran and Saudi Arabia mission, strategic goal is similar, despite the hostility between them for being believers of two different Islamic schools. Today, one cannot avoid the growing presence of Islamic symbols in the US, Western Europe, Southeast Asia, mainly all over the world. This presence takes place in mosques, charity associations, banks, education institutions, and medical clinics, raised in thousands all over the world as an application to the Islamic expansion program. I will remind you a little bit. This is what I am calling the quiet, the peaceful jihad. The peaceful expansion of Islam characterized in two ways. The first, by large investment and purchasing real estate, building mosques, supporting well-known universities in order to create Islamic cathedrals. Harvard University, Berkeley, top 10. All of them, money bought Islamic presence. Establishing welfare association as a tool of transferring money to the target countries and getting influence in local banks. The second way is by encouraging Muslims immigration into non-Muslim countries. Due to this, we have about 12% from the French population Muslim. 12%. Germany, 3.7. Holland, 2. England, 2%. Belgium, 3%. And so on each and every country. The percentage in America is not so meaningful because there are too many Americans. And the percentage is small. It's around 1%. It's big. It's a lot of Muslim population in America, mostly immigrants. All these figures are legitimate figures. Figures from the government, figures from the State Department. I would double it by including the non-legitimate immigrants. What is the role of Iran in this mission? Well, Iran is active mainly and mostly on terror field. Iran's activity is oriented mostly to support terror organizations all over the world. Iran supports the Hezbollah, the Islamic Jihad and Hamas. In addition, it supports the Abu Sayyaf movement organization in the Philippines, the Chechnya Islamic movement in Russia, and builds terror infrastructure in South America, place where Iranian activators bombed the Israeli embassy and the Jewish agency building. The border between Paraguay, Uruguay, and Brazil. Paraguay? Yeah, this border is controlled these days by Hezbollah activators. Most of the Iranian support comes throughout their embassies all over the world. The support includes money and weapons throughout the diplomatic mail. Very simple. Boxes of money, boxes of arms, and I think that in every country, every intelligence force has the pictures of what is inside these boxes, and no one is doing nothing to prevent it. Unbelievable. Iran financing building mosques and encouraging some, not as much as Saudi Arabia, encouraging Muslim immigration into non-Muslim countries. The rule of Saudi Arabia. The Saudi royal house, headed by the Saudi king, took upon himself to expand Islam all over the world as the highest priority religion mission. Ever since King Abdulaziz established the Saudi kingdom in the beginning of the 20th century, the kingdom was excited to support Islam's expansion, at first by expanding the Wahhabi school. The Wahhabi school is the school that rules Saudi Arabia. It is a Sunni, under the Sunni school. It's a sub-school, very extreme, very dogmatic, very fundamental. In the beginning or in the 20s of the 20th century, they tried to expand the Wahhabi school throughout the Islamic world without success. The success came later on. Only after Saudi Arabia became one of the biggest oil producers in the world, and its income as such made it possible, Saudi fulfilled the ambition to expand Islam into the non-Muslim world, and in a very high level. Official sources in the kingdom report of billions of dollars invested on buildings, 250 Islamic centers, more than 2,000 mosques, 200 colleges, and 2,000 schools for Islam studies in non-Islamic countries in Europe, America, Australia, and Asian countries. The Saudi House of Kingdom and the Saudi government finance it all. We are talking about figures around $5 billion a year for supporting the expansion of Islam in the world. In addition, an economic infrastructure was established in this country in order to finance all this activity. And this infrastructure comes out with four main organizations. The Islamic Organizations Council, the World Islamic Youth Assembly, the World Islamic League, the Grace Coalition, and the Holy Land Foundation that was recently on the news when the American took them out of law because Israel gave America proof that the money of the Holy Land Foundation came from America to suicide bomber here, to the organization Hamas and Islamic Jihad. The organization are the Saudi tool for financing the Islamic expansion in the world. These are only four, but I'm talking about a net of organization, a very wide net of organization, talking about billions of dollars. All these immigrants that are settling in France, in England, or in Holland, they are getting paid monthly from the embassy, from the organization, from the foundations. I'll talk to them about them later. All of them are being paid until they are settled. They are getting homes that were bought before by these foundations, by these organizations. And people are doing nothing still in the host countries. So these organizations are the Saudi tool for financing the Islamic expansion in the world. They are guided to strengthen Islamic presence all over the world. This Islamic presence takes place by well-organized immigrating of Muslim population from Muslim world into non-Muslim countries, led by Saudi Arabia, and meant to extend the number of Muslims that will get citizenship in the non-Muslim countries. Well, I'll talk about, after this one. Indeed, today we can see in countries like US, Germany, France, Holland, Belgium, and more, the growth of Muslims inhabitants, and in some places they got meaningful electoral power. The result of this meaningful electoral power, the result of the existence of Islamic, of Muslims in the non-Muslim country is that as a reaction to this phenomenon, we can witness the growth of local nationalist parties opposed to immigration of foreigners into their country. Now this makes the local politics in these countries very complicated, because we call this nationalist party fascist parties, because they are against human beings, against immigration of the poor people. But we are not taking under consideration that this immigration is not innocent. It is purpose one. So when Le Pen had good results in France, I said, well, he is right. But from the other hand, I said, I can't agree with the way of this person. He is a fascist. He is a Nazi. I can't agree with him. By the way, I think the day after tomorrow is going to Saddam in order to support him. Le Pen. It's funny. It is funny. He is against the immigrations of Muslims to France. And now he's going to Saddam to encourage him. It is funny. It's unbelievable. Now, why did this happen? It happened because there is free space in the local politics of the Western world countries. Into this space, extremists are entering. And they're invited to enter. And they cannot provide the answer to the problem of immigration, the problem of taking over their homeland. This is taking over their homeland. As these activities establish a well-organized infrastructures in the non-Muslim countries for other activity, mainly a dangerous one, terror. Well, Muslim countries throughout this organization, they finance terror organization in their host country, in the Middle East, and in other places around the globe. In this country, the Islamic leader incite against their host countries. I'll tell you a story about Holland. Holland is a very liberal country. In Amsterdam, about a month and a half ago, someone translated the speech of the Islamic preacher in Amsterdam, and I'm traveling to Amsterdam next week, and to hear this one on on the Friday prayer. Someone translated to the authorities his speech. He attacked Holland, his host country, that welcomed him, that gave him a stage where he can speak to his community. And he called to take over Holland. This alerted the local leaders of the four biggest Dutch cities: Amsterdam, Hague, Eindhoven, and no, it will come back. And they gathered. They decided to make local rules that will border the activity of this imam. They have to prove their loyalty to Holland. Their license to preach were postponed. And Holland is looking at this very differently now, very much not liberally. This is the first country that I can find it. You know, in Paris, there are quarters in Paris ruled and controlled by Muslims that have weapons that police didn't enter for years. 4 years. It's some kind of autonomy in the middle of Paris. They raise secret semi-military groups, they collect arms, and they execute or help execute terror operations in their host countries. They are building the basis of what they call Justice Day, when they get what they collect now and fight for the land. In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia involvement is in supporting Islamic fundamental terror organizations like the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, not the Islamic Jihad. Only those that have the connection to Saudi Arabia, to the Sunni school. Mainly throughout charity foundations and companies they created in the West. Money is going out from Saudi Arabia throughout the bank, coming to America throughout the bank, until the Palestinian Authority, it used to come throughout the Israeli bank. I worked on it. I know. Israeli banks, Israeli companies used to deliver Saudi money for supporting the Intifada. Unbelievable. What? From where? From okay. The money comes out of Saudi Arabia, goes to America, England, France, Holland, Belgium. Who are the bank? From America, Belgium, England, it comes to Israel. Before the Palestinian Authority, to Israeli banks. From Israeli banks to the organization. To innocent people, so-called. No one knew. The banks didn't knew that they are not so innocent. Now it's much more easy. Saudi, Europe, bank in the Palestinian Authority. They have independent banks. And we are talking of about hundreds of millions of dollars a year. In the Palestinian Authority, it's a great deal of money. No question about it. For may welfare associations or organizations exist. Still, this is the base of the net. Every organization, a firm, has its links with a different name in a different country. But heads, we have four. The Grace Foundation, headed by Sheikh Youssef Khirdawi, Saudi sheikh, living in Qatar, controlling billions of dollars, billions of Saudi money, helping each and every Muslim that asked for money. I saw letters that he delivered saying, I hereby give you $5,000 for building a chicken farm, for opening store. This is a cover. The Holy Land Foundation, we talked about him. I think he is the head of this foundation too. The Welfare Association. Welfare Association is a Swiss foundation sitting in Geneva, headed by Palestinian Saudi banker named Abdelmajid Shuman, controlling hundreds of millions of dollars, transferring them all over the world wherever it is needed, and to the West Bank and Gaza as well. The Saudi Committee for supporting the Al-Aqsa uprising, headed by Dr. Walid El-Adali. These are the bases of the net. These organizations donate Palestinian fundamental terror organization millions of dollars by supporting suicide bombers, families, as well as those who were killed and injured in action. Prisoners, families, organization, whoever asks for money, gives the right accused, he's going to get money. They also support the Islamic community as a whole. The money that Ahmed Yassin in Gaza is spreading around is Saudi money. This welfare organization have extension all over the non-Islamic world. We can find Al-Aqsa Foundation that is part of the Grace Coalition in Germany. I can give you a net that will cover, I think, half of this wall. Half of this wall. This is the big of the net all over the world. This is only examples. That is part of the Grace Coalition in Germany, Holland, Australia. We can find the Palestinian Foundation, a name you never heard, for support and development. This is an organization that is a part of the Holy Land Foundation in South Africa, in France, and in Belgium, as well as in Australia. And the list is very long, and the net is very, very wide. I will remind you, Saudis control some banks in the West, but not all the money comes through these banks. Some comes from local banks, owned by government, by private people, not that the Saudi has no connection to them. They gain money from it, and they keep their eyes shut. In conclusion, this situation we witness these days, or in the last few years, is a result of a well-planned operation to expand Islam in the world. I can definitely say that Iran, but mostly Saudi Arabia's effort, are giving fruits, and the Muslim presence in the non-Muslim country is strong and keep on getting stronger. The reason for these outgrowths, the reasons are dual. First, the host country do nothing to prevent it. Second, the operation is well motivated religiously, well planned, and well executed, with unlimited budget provided by Iran, but mainly by Saudi Arabia. The great danger of the Islamic expansion lays on the combination between fundamental orientation, terror, large finance investment that brought to build a well-based Islamic infrastructure in the non-Muslim countries and made it very easy to execute terror attacks on Israel, the USA, other Western targets all over the world, and interests, and in the near future, as I sadly expect, in Europe as well. I think that one must pay attention to the Muslim activity in the non-Muslim countries, which is very much not innocent. The struggle against Israel is only part of a struggle between Islam and the other two monotheistic religions, Judaism and Christianity. This struggle is on the religion domination of earth. The Muslim world connects Israel to the Western culture in the religious level. Therefore, the struggle is not getting Islamic hegemony, it is for getting Islamic hegemony on earth. Islam defined as enemy all those that do not belong to Islam. A good example is Lebanon, that throughout the history was Christian-oriented country. In the last 20 years, we can witness that Islam controls the land of Lebanon. Christian citizens are living in the country. Most of them already left. And in the very near future, I expect Muslim fundamentalists will take over the government of Lebanon and complete fully taking over the country. We are talking about an Arab state. It took them only 20 years to do so. Is the world facing a religious war? Well, are we in a stage of delirious war? Is a complicated answer, a complicated question, and I don't think it has a definite answer. But no doubt that the Western world these days, under a massive and dangerous attack, must watch its step and examine its action against the clear and dangerous expansion tendencies of the Muslim world, motivated by pure religious reasons. A lot of money, very small amount of money in Russia, many suitcases. Frightening. No. There is no combined operation between the Arab countries, between the Muslim countries. Every country acts alone. Iran and Saudi Arabia have hostility between them, have competition between them. They hate each other. All of them are operating alone. You can see it with Iraq fight Iran. You can see the insulation of Libya. Everybody has, God gave them wealth. Everybody has his pocket full.